everyone, Woods of Odin here, and I hope my camera isn't situated too low or too high. Right. I wanted to talk about passive-aggressive language, in particular, two things that I've seen in YouTube comments that stuck out in my mind so much I remembered them up until this point. The first one being, I love you, but I don't like you. Now, I have a very strange, manipulative, verbally abusive mother, okay? This, and the next phrase I'll talk about, is something she has said a lot, and it's impossible, really. I love you, but I don't like you. Let's examine this. When you love somebody, you value them greatly. There are traits of them that you like. This does not, however, mean you have to like everything that they do. And even in the cases of addiction or something like that, there are still things you like about the person, even though drugs or whatever it is that they're into has transformed them into a person that you don't like. So, still, in the case of something like addiction, where a person is extremely transformed, it's the addiction that you don't like. It's not the person that you don't like. It's the things that the person is doing that you don't like, not the actual person themselves, because you know that when the person is rehabilitated, then they're going to go back to being much more like they used to be, to a person that you actually like. So what's going on here when somebody is saying, I love you but I don't like you, is they're trying to emotionally blackmail you. Why? Because most human beings have a certain sense of reciprocity. If you think that somebody actually loves you, you're going to try and reciprocate that love, probably in some way, shape, or form. Even if you don't love a person that loves you, unrequited love, you're probably going to say, how do I let this person down nicely? Or how do I avoid this person, perhaps, so I don't hurt their feelings? There's some level of reciprocity there. If somebody loves me, how can I, hurt this person? If somebody likes me, how can I continue to make them sad, or whatever it is? So it's a very manipulative line. And, if I love you, but I don't like you, now the next part, I don't like you, not I don't like what you're doing, but I don't like you. So, on the one hand, I'm going to tug on your heartstrings, but with the other hand, I'm going to try to demean you, try to insult you, but I'm not going to do it in a way that's that's completely obvious. I love you, but clearly by looking at you, you haven't had a date in 4 years, you're disgusting and horrible, and you never take a bath. Huh? Something that obvious is it's going to stick out in your mind. Okay? What the hell? But I love you, but I don't like you isn't quite so obvious. Which of course is different from I love you, but I don't like what you're doing. Okay? I mean, alright, I'm going to get off that because of time constraints and file size constraints. Okay, the next line I want to talk about is, I'm just trying to get you to think. Now, this line, I remember that this was left in one of TOS 100's videos. So, TOS 100 is one of the YouTube atheists, and his videos are pretty thoughtful. I mean, I'm sure if we got into talking about politics or music or something, we'd probably disagree on a few things and agree on a few other things, but he's a thoughtful person. I forget who exactly made the comment. Okay, now let's look at this huge ball of strange, twisted, manipulative bullshit. I'm just trying to get you to think. Right, well, first of all, the implication is that the person doesn't think, so there's an insult there. However, it's implied. So what happens is, if somebody says, hey, I do think, or hey, I'm gonna call bullshit on you, or whatever, then the person who said it immediately can say, but where did I say this? I didn't say you didn't think. Of course, you know, you implied it, but you didn't say it. You know, where did I say that you didn't think? Well, hey, if the shoe fits, or I think you just protest too much, or you're just being paranoid. Clearly, the person who said this weird ball of manipulative garbage isn't the one who has issues. Clearly, the one who's calling bullshit has the issues. Or, you know, you're going to ignore that aspect of it and just sit there and look like a person who doesn't think. Of course, with arguments on the internet, and even in arguments in real life, is sometimes you just have to say, well, I don't care if you're trying to make me look like a fool. I would look more like a fool if I just played into this instead of just said, okay, and walked away, or I'm sorry you feel that way, and just dropped it, and let the other person be wrong, and or excuse me, let the other person be, quote, right, and just kind of walk off and say, well, you know, whatever. And they can stand there looking like a drama queen, and you look like, you know, the fairy princess. Yeah, if you can't tell, I've been something of a peacekeeper. I don't like drama. Okay, now the next aspect of this is that I'm trying to get you to think, oh, so you're doing a service. Okay, so the person you're telling this to is apparently deficient in some capacity, and you're trying to look like the angel, the fairy godmother here, who's coming down from on high and doing them a service. Right. Bull. Right, okay, the third aspect of this is that this is deflecting from the actual argument and trying to put the focus on the particular individual. For another example of people who do this is, I might sit here and say, let's say somebody's trying to sell me a communication course, and I'll say, well, no thank you, I'm not interested. And instead of touting the merits of such a course, they might say, well, wouldn't you like to communicate better? Of course I would like to communicate better. Everyone probably would. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I would want to buy the course somebody's selling in this hypothetical situation. But that deflects attention from their argument and the merits of said argument, and puts it on the person. Well, yes, I have deficiencies, I'm a human being. You know, yes, I'm sure TOS 100 in this case has deficiencies, he's a human being. I mean, we all have things that we would like to do better, right? So again, it takes away from it deflects attention from an argument and puts the attention on, gosh, me, deficient me, oh dear, yes, as though I haven't been thinking. And so that is just a crazy, crazy manipulative ball of garbage. And yes, this is something that I was first exposed to by my mother, and she's not a good example of how to associate with people. I'm sorry, I don't like bad mouthing my family on YouTube, but it's the truth. Now, both people who made these comments were Christian fundamentalists. Again, I forget their screen names, but I do remember that the arguments that began these comment threads were religious, and that the people who made them were Christian fundamentalists. So if you are somebody who has said these things, either "I love you but I don't like you," which is unfortunately all too common, or "I'm just trying to get you to think," I would like you to think about what you're saying, who said it to you, what their intentions probably were, what your intentions probably are. And I'm not saying they're bad intentions. I don't know what your intentions are. In fact, the person who said it to you is probably repeating it because it was said to them. So I would like you to remember how you felt when hearing those words, and especially if you didn't see through these weird little phrases, how did they make you feel? And is it something that's going to ultimately support your cause, or is it just something that's going to make you look mean? And again, I would like you to think back to how it made you feel, who said it to you, and maybe you heard it said to the person who said it to you. People learn through imitation, and sometimes people don't always think about what we have learned to do through imitation. Now then, before my camera gives out, because I haven't charged it, and before I hit my time limit, I'm Woods of Odin, and I do have a cool sign off, and I do have lots and lots of stuff to do around the house right now. And if you're seeing something in the background, it's probably a sculpture I have drying. Air dry clay is awesome. Alright.